Boomer. Oh, I apologize to the rest of you guys. We are glad that there was another team there that participated, and we have a trophy for them also. Where's all the orange? There's 3 of them. Oh, well, it was a great game. Everybody had a good time, if you were sooner. We'll call the meeting to order, and Chairman declares that there's a quorum present to conduct business after we have a roll call.
Mr. Fiddler.
Here.
Mr. Oberlin. Mr. Love.
Here.
Mr. Burridge.
Here.
Mr. Huckabee.
Here.
Mr. Alexander.
Here.
Mr. Burgess.
Here.
Mr. Regan.
And we, in fact, do have a quorum, and Randy's here from the County Commissioners. How you doing, Randy? Glad to have you. And Derek's here, and there he is from the Chamber. And the famous Tim Gatz is in the crowd today. Good to see you. I started to ask y'all what your affiliation was before graciously welcoming you. There's no movement. Okay. We have a big announcement to make right off the bat. Who's going to make that announcement, Mr. Dels?
Before we get to that announcement, Mr. Chairman, this last week, ODOT, Turnpike Authority, and DPS got another award for our Work Zone Awareness Campaign from the Oklahoma City advertising community. Public relations, thank you. Couple of awards, but the best of the awards was the best of show. So it was the best campaign put on in Oklahoma City during this last year. And congratulations to all 3 of us, ODOT, DPS, and the Turnpike Authority, certainly our public and relations and media group, along with our videographers. Another fabulous job. Congratulations. What you asked me to come to the podium for is another great program that we got involved with, I think 4 years ago. But I'm going to ask Jeff Cobalt to come up and give you a few statistics. But it involves a basketball tournament. The department has been involved for 3 years. We've been fortunate enough to win it for 2 years. We missed a year for some reason. I think Anthony was sick that year, so we were missing our point guard captain, so he might have been hobbled just a little bit, but that's the excuse we'll go with. But we won it in 2015 and 2017, and it made some donations because it's a charitable basketball tournament. And if I could, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Cobalt will step up and tell you some more details and award ODOT with the golden ball.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, I am Jeff Cobalt, and I represent CEC Corporation, who believes in contributing to our communities through our nonprofit Civil Servants. CEC, along with Civil Servants, hosted the 4th annual Hoop Dreams tournament in August, specifically to raise money for the winner of the one-day tournament's charity of choice. Hoop Dreams is most fitting because if you saw some of these engineers attempt this game, there's no hope and there's no dreams big enough. CEC and Civil Servants, and specifically Stephen Johnson, put this tournament on to bring our industry together on a different plane, build relationships in a different setting, and most importantly, raise money for a great cause. through the efforts of many in this room and in the form of sponsorships and participants, over $10,500 has been raised to date. The 2017 tournament raised over $3,500, which will support the Potter's House effort. ODOT has participated, like the Secretary said, in 3 of the 4 tournaments and has won 2 of the 3 tournaments. ODOT chose to give the proceeds of their previous tournament to the Children's Hospital Jimmy Evers Cancer Center. Anthony Dels has organized these 2 teams for ODOT in the past, and he's a competitive guy. Word on the street has it that he's holding tryouts, and he stomps around like Bobby Knight, cutting people from the team who is not up to standard. No, really, Anthony is a great contributor and a heck of a good guy, and CEC appreciates his efforts in organizing the ODOT Road Rage and the ODOT Road Runner teams. So with that, CEC and Civil Servants presents this year's tournament to ODOT Road Rage, and the 2018's proceeds will go to the charity of their choice. Thank you, Anthony.
Can we have the team come up?
Team, come on.
Even though he's got an orange towel, we love Anthony. Item 142 is the approval of the minutes of the meeting of October the 2nd. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Have a motion?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes. Item 143 through 145 is the consent docket. If there's an item that a commission member would like to pull out separately and discuss, we'll do so by unanimous vote, or we'll hear a motion for item 143 through 145.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion.
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes. Item 146 is the engineering contracts. Mr. Tiegler will make that presentation.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Item 146, I have one engineering contract this month. It's in Mays County, District 8. We've selected Olson Associates to provide the engineering and construction plans for State Highway 28. There are 2 projects in this contract. It's a total not to exceed amount of $1,388,354. Both of these projects are included in our 8-year construction work plan. They are scheduled for federal fiscal year 2022 and 2023. Try to answer any questions if you have any, and approval is recommended.
You've heard the recommendation of Mr. Tiegler for item 146. What's your pleasure?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion.
Second.
And we have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote. Motion passes. Item 147, Mr. Tiegler will also present. It's the engineering contract supplements.
Okay, I have 3 parts this month in the supplements. Part A is a statewide contract for all districts for our on-demand planning studies. We previously selected 3 firms to provide planning studies. This supplement is with CDM Smith for a total aggregate increase of $30,000. Part B is our Cherokee County District 1. We've previously authorized Aguirre and Fields to perform engineering and construction plans for US 62. This is a supplement not to exceed amount of $14,300. This project is in the 8-year construction work plan, and it's also scheduled for a federal fiscal year of 2020. And finally, in Part C, excuse me, I have Rogers County and District 8. We've selected Benham Design previously, and we're having them do the engineering and final design plans for State Highway 266. The supplement not to exceed amount is $5,000. This project is as well in the 8-year construction work plan and federal fiscal year of 2023. Approval is recommended, and I'll answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you, Mr. Tiegler. You've heard item 147, engineering contract supplements. Do we have a motion?
Motion approved.
Have a motion?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote. Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Tiegler. Mr. Adkins will, that's why she kept giving me those evil eyes there. We have a pinch hitter. Ms. Helms is going to present item 148.
Good morning,
I'll
Mr.
get
Chairman.
it next time.
That's okay. Members of the commission, agenda item 148 is for the lettings. The final January, tentative February, tentative March bid openings. The department requests and recommends approval of this item.
You've heard the presentation for item 148.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes. Thank you. Item 149 is an information-only item. Mr. Leonard has that information if you'd like to hear something from him. If you don't, there's no questions about the change orders under $75,000. He'll move to the change orders greater than $75,000. Are there any questions on the under? You can move to the over.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I'd like to present item 150, parts A through double C. These are the change orders on projects with a cumulative total of change orders in excess of $75,000. Your approval is recommended, but I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you for that presentation.
Motion approved.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote. Thank you, sir. Item number 151 is the awards. The now famous Mr. Dels.
Number 1 on the court, number 1 in your hearts. Good morning, Commissioner, Chairman. Item 151 are our recommendations from the October bid opening. It is recommended that the following items from the October 19th bid opening referred to by call order be awarded. That's call orders 10, 30, 60, 80, 90, 140, 150, 160, 170, 180, 190, 200, 230 with the base bid only, 240, 250, 270, 280, 290, 300, 310, 320, 325 with the add alternate, 330 with both add alternates, 335, 340, 360, and 365. This includes the recommendations for award, and your approval is requested.
Thank you, Mr. Dels. You've heard his recommendation for the awards.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any questions? And hearing none, we'll vote. Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Dels. Mr. Schiffert will present item 152, which is the CIRB 5-year county work plan.
Good morning, Commissioners. Had to wear my colors. Thank you very much. Still there.
Well,
We're glad you came up
Oh,
and played
oh,
and left you
oh,
a lot of money up there.
did you get treated that way when you were up at the stadium?
They weren't very nice.
Because you had red on?
Yeah, I had a little red on.
And they wanted you to cover it up, didn't they?
Security guard actually got me.
Well, we do appreciate all the income in the town of Stillwater there, coming up and spending a lot of money.
Well, we're proud of both schools. I will have to admit that I was informed by my soon-to-be 18-year-old daughter that no way was she going to OU, ever, period. She was going to OSU.
Saw
So
the light.
no member of our family's ever gone to OSU. So what do you think the likelihood of a scholarship to OSU is for her? We sat down Saturday night and I said, you need to remember who writes the checks.
Well, I started off in Norman. I was born in Norman and then moved up to Stillwater when I saw the light and made it up there, so we're good. This morning, I'd like to make a quick presentation about our update of the 5-year CIRB plan. At your desk, you have a copy of our book, and what we have here is the CIRB funding. It comes from House Bill 2249. It's a portion of the Motor Vehicle and Registration Act. Of this plan, we worked with the counties and the circuit engineering districts to develop the program around their needs in their area. In this plan, we have approximately $926 million worth of improvements. 397 bridges are going to be either improved or replaced, or in some cases, new bridges placed where possibly we've just got a low water crossing or something that we need an improvement on there. 43 of the bridges are going to utilize the Crosstown bridge beams. We're still making great use of those on the county system. We're sure appreciative of that. And then we also have included in this plan 814 miles of roadways that are going to be reconstructed or improved out there. In the lobby, we have maps showing the general locations of each of the projects that are listed just for the construction in the next 5 years. We've got quite a few more projects that are in the 5-year plan that are going to include both engineering, right-of-way, utilities, but the construction portion falls outside the 5-year plan. So at this time, we're just showing the ones that are actively in the 5-year plan for construction. At this time, if you have any questions, be happy to answer those. We're seeking your approval on this program, on this update.
One of the greatest joint efforts in our state is the CIRB program. It's moved our state forward. It's quality projects. It's responsibility and planning and work, and just one of the greatest things to be involved in. We really appreciate the county and how they've embraced that type, the counties, and how they've embraced that type of project, study, award, and planning and programming. Just can't say enough about it. And highly am impressed with the work.
Good.
You've heard the presentation. Any questions?
Could you kind of walk us through how this is developed? Obviously, a very, big, impressive document, but kind of what are the steps by which you go through to ultimately get to here?
Early on in the year, we're working with the counties, seeking their input for what is needed in each one of the commissioners' districts. Then the counties come forward with their plan, updates, working with the engineering firms that we have, and we get updates on our progress, the cost estimates and stuff. And then each one of the counties are members of circuit engineering districts, which in a lot of cases are the same as our ODOT division boundaries. They work with those circuit engineering districts and the rest of the member counties in each of those districts. And from that, we help assemble the projects. with the updates on the dates and the funding amounts. And then once we get those together, we put those in our database, update all the estimates, and get that prepared in the documentation here for you. That answer your question, sir?
Yes.
Okay?
Thank you for your work, Mr. Schieffer. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Item 153, Mr. Hewlin is going to present the resolution for the issuance of the grant anticipation notes.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman.
Have been anticipating.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. This item the department does request the approval of the resolution authorizing the director to issue grant anticipation notes not to exceed $70 million. These are commonly referred to as Garvey bonds. The bond proceeds will be used to partially finance the Gilcrease project in Tulsa, and is a very important project for that community. The original project was authorized in the April 2017 commission meeting. But this project is being administered by OTA and has several cooperative partners, including the Department, Federal Highway Administration, City of Tulsa, and Tulsa County. The debt service on this issuance will be paid with INCOG Surface Transportation Federal Program funds. Today we have with us Rich Breer with INCOG and, of course, Director Tim Gatz, and we'll be happy to answer any questions. And then if you have any specific questions about the project, those gentlemen are here also to answer any of those. But we recommend your approval of this resolution.
You've heard the presentation.
So when will the bonds be issued?
The plan is to issue those in the spring of 2018 approximately, and that's to be in conjunction with the beginning of construction later, at a later period. We need to issue those bonds within a certain time of when construction starts, so we don't receive any penalties from that.
Further questions?
And they're repaid strictly from federal funding?
Yes, INCOG has issued a resolution authorizing the payment of $6 million per year for debt service for a period of 15 years. So,
Motion to approve item 153.
Yeah, I had a question. Russell, could you kind of walk me through kind of the whole money end of this? Meaning, okay, ODOT is involved, OTA is involved, we got the feds funding, OTA is going to be charging toll on, I'm trying to figure out, trying to kind of follow the whole money situation here.
certainly, this project was planned several years ago. In fact, in 2000, the first environmental assessment was done and approved by Federal Highway. The department throughout the years has spent money on acquiring right-of-way and doing some engineering work, and therefore it's a federalized project from the start, and it will remain so. As far as the financing of the project, in addition to this up to $70 million in Garvey bonds, the OTA is going to set aside some funds, approximately $100 million of their funds, to apply towards the pre-construction and construction. Also, the remaining balance, this total project is a $300 million project. The remaining funding is about $250 to $60 million that's to be spent on the project. So the remainder of the balance of those funds will be done in a public-private partnership, or if that's going to be, an RFP is going to be sent out for that component of it. And also, there is a possibility that a TIFIA loan may be obtained from OTA to complete the financing of the project. So that's the financing components, and our part is the $65 to $70 million in Garvey bonds.
Great, thank you.
Further questions? We have a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussion? Please vote. The motion passes. everybody gets to pitch in on that one. Item 153 is the declaration of emergency in Love County. It's going to be 154, thank you, Mr. Love, and Mr. Patterson's going to present that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item 154 is the declaration of emergency in Love County on the Jacobs Road Bridge over I-35. If I could, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to read this into the record. On October 18th, 2017, the Jacobs Road Bridge over I-35 in Love County was damaged by a southbound tractor-trailer vehicle which left the roadway and struck span 1 of the bridge. Due to the force of the impact, the damage to span 1 is beyond repair. On October 20th, 2017, I declared an emergency and authorized Division 7 to obtain an emergency contract for the demolition of span 1 over that portion of I-35 in accordance with Title 61 Oklahoma Statute, Section 130, and the authority provided by the Oklahoma Administrative Code. Under the authority of my emergency declaration of October 24th, 2017, Division 7 entered into an emergency contract with C3 Construction in the amount of $17,916 for demolition of the span. Demolition was in fact completed on October 30th, even though the agenda item says the 31st was the expected date of completion. No commission action is required for this item. It's information only. But as I said, work was completed on October 30th. Later this month, late November, we're going to hold a public meeting to talk about that bridge, specifically offering up 3 options. One, to be repair the bridge and put it back into a state of good repair. To replace the bridge is option number 2, or just totally remove the bridge because of its usage. It doesn't serve much of a continuation of a long road. Jacobs Road extends a half mile either side of I-35, and that's the extent of it. So we may in fact be replacing the bridge. But that, again, that's an update and for your information only.
Thank you, Mr. Patterson. If there's no questions about the emergency, you can move into your report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple items. First, thank you for approving the CIRB for another year. As you mentioned, Mr. Chairman, it's a great program. You know, for any one commissioner and one county to do some of the projects that are being done, it just wouldn't happen without this program. This program has had a huge influence on the condition of county bridges and county roads since its inception in 2006. So thank you again for allowing us to continue with that effort. I do need to bring to your attention one situation that's occurring on I-40 here in downtown Oklahoma City. Involves OG&E and one of their contractors. In July, they began boring operations under I-40 and met with some challenges, I'll just say, to the extent that we have noticed that there's damage to I-40. On the westbound side, there's about a 2-inch dip that has occurred in the roadway, and on the eastbound side, there's a 3-inch rise. So we have instructed OG&E to fix that situation, and they're going to do that using a contractor from a list of contractors we provided. The impact is going to be to the traveling public in a couple of weeks when we have to close down I-40 to one-lane traffic in both directions. It will be done as innocuous as we can to make those repairs, but just wanted to make the public aware that that's going to happen and ask for their patience while the repairs are being made. As you know, I-40 is a cross-country route, carries several 100,000 cars a day, so it will be an impact to the traveling public, but I know because we have such a good contractor on this project, it will be done in a quality deliverance and in a timely manner, just for your awareness.
Construct, or are we gonna inject, or what are we gonna do?
We're gonna deconstruct, reconstruct.
Nobody thought about injecting, or it will not?
They've already tried the injecting.
Okay.
Do you actually have to dig out some of that soil that's been wet with water?
I'm gonna look at
apparently?
Casey, but I believe we're gonna have to replace those
Restabilize.
panels down to the base.
Yeah, restabilize the grade, make sure it's all stable
Yeah.
before we put it back.
Approximately how deep do they have to dig out? Do you have any idea?
We're gonna see what we encounter when we get it uncovered. Soil testing once we get it opened up.
How deep do they usually tunnel underneath the highway?
That was did you tell me it was a 10 to 15 foot boring?
10 to
So
15?
they were 10 to 15 feet below the surface, which is not normally a problem, and that's why
Yeah, it
we're a bit
happens.
surprised by this.
Just happens.
It's just one of those things. But
If you wanna
then
get an education, work on an Oklahoma road.
Right, yeah.
And ODOT won't be out any funds?
No, sir, we won't. This is theirs to take care of.
Thank you
Okay.
for that update.
Mr. Patterson, one other comment. and
Yes.
Brian Taylor, let's be sure that we have all the signage that we can get up to at least communicate to the local people that this is gonna be happening, to hopefully, kind of cause them to not, the more traffic we can take off of it, the better, right?
Yes.
So,
Yeah, and thank you, Commissioner. Certainly, that's our intention. I know Terry has been thinking about getting out in front of the operation with the media so that we can get people off of I-40 as much as we can. One other item, this last Tuesday, when you talk about ODOT, you talk about the ODOT family, you talk about caring and giving. You heard about the basketball tournament and the things we like to do with that. This last Tuesday, we had our annual chili contest cook-off, and I've already heard from a couple of people that are disappointed the chief won because it's all rigged, but he makes a good bowl of chili, I'll have to tell you. And we have a costume contest, and we have all kinds of things, but we raise a lot of money, and this year we raised $1,700 to give to the state charitable campaign. Included in that, we auctioned off my parking spot out front, so you may see a truck out there that I don't know what's parked out there right now, but Phil Loafman is parking in my spot this week, and I really appreciate him taking the high bid on that. That was the intention, was to get in his back pocket, and we were able to do that as well. And he'll be able to look at that all week. But I will tell you that there are some people that I would like to thank. The Regional Food Bank of Oklahoma, Allied Arts, and the Salvation Army came in and spoke to our employees about the importance of giving and what it means to those three organizations when we give like we give. And I also want to thank our Oklahoma Employees Credit Union. They always are there to help us and support us, but again, last Tuesday, they did it again. And I just want to thank everybody in the ODOT family for their caring and giving. Mr. Chairman, I have nothing else. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions?
I'm sorry, did I jump the gun?
You might have jumped the gun a little bit, Commissioner. Never. Are we about to retire to the pole?
It's time to retire to the pole. Are there any comments from the dais up here?
Well, I'd just like to say, I've watched a lot of OSU games in my life, and not as many as Secretary Ridley, nor have I been as disappointed as Secretary Ridley. But I will tell you, that was one of the finest games I've ever seen in my life. I mean, both teams are to be honored because of the way they played. I mean, my goodness, that was a stand-up game and drew a lot of favorable attention to the state of Oklahoma. Both teams did. They played with class, and it was a hard-fought game. But clearly, the team that should have won. So we'll just leave it at that.
Dilly, dilly.
Mr. Chairman, one other thing. We can't leave on that. One other thing, since you have a family member going to OSU, I'm sure she's
I
gonna
didn't
have
say
all
she
the
was going.
support that she needs. I'm sure that she will get all the scholarship money that she needs, because after all, she's a Burridge and she's smart. She'll get where she needs to go.
I
And
don't
we'll
want
welcome her
Secretary
with
Ridley to
open
find
arms.
out he'll be at my house. You can imagine how tough that was. I mean, she's dead serious. Oh, mercy. Anything else come before the commission?
We need to vote.
We need to have a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. We're adjourned.